Hello. I want to say good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night, wherever you may be around the world. Welcome to a little bit of this and a little bit of that. Welcome, guys. Welcome. Today, I'm going to be talking about birthright citizenship in the USA, okay? And how the President Donald Trump, is going to put an end to it. The 14th Amendment clearly states that, first of all, the 14th Amendment was written for the Black American of the United States of America, not for the whole world. Over the years, people have taken advantage of this amendment, and no one has really brought it to court or challenged it. Okay? Citizenship should not be granted to illegals, people that cross over the border illegally, people on tourist visa, temporary visa, work visa, or expired visa. They have children in the United States of America, they should not be granted citizenship because these people are not citizen of the US. But as you know that people from wherever they come from, they're gonna try to take advantage of this. And this is why you see the US have a birth tourism industry. It specifically target women from all over the world, highly from China, that will come to the US on the US visa solely to give birth. Okay, and it's a booming business. These people that they're not citizen of the US, they're just there on a tourist visa. They come in pregnant, they give birth, their children have citizenship, and they go back with the children to their home countries. And then when the child become like an 18, 19, 20 year old, wherever, and they decide to bring this kid to the US, and this child benefits everything that the US has to offer a citizen. The exception is that these children parents did not pour into the system, nor this child have ever poured anything into the system. Okay, but things are given to them. And this is why the president the president is going to bring this to the Supreme Court, and he will win to end this practice. Okay. And the Black American people have been mistreated, disrespected, disregard, and people from all over the world, all different nationalities, has been enjoying their rights. Okay, the right that was given to the children of slaves and their descendants. This is why the 14th Amendment was written for. Not for everybody. You give birth in the US, and then boom, you become a citizen. Okay? Now the president's trying to make it in a way that either both parents or one of the parent has to be a US citizen in order for the children to have citizenship, which I totally agree with. Because for the longest time, I knew that something wasn't right, even though before I understood everything, it's like something wasn't right, you know? And wherever you go around the world, um, like like first world countries, those things are no longer given. Okay, people say, well, there's all the country that are, they have birthright citizenship. They have like Brazil and da da da. Well, those country, they don't offer any benefits. Those country people don't want their children to be citizen of this country because they're not first world country. They're not they're not one of the richest country in the world. One of the most powerful country in the world. Okay, so these places, they don't have issue with people, birth tourism and things like that. People don't want to say, well, I want to have a child and I want him to be a Brazilian citizen. Not at all. Okay. Now listen to this video real quick, and I'll be right back.
The progressives are once again losing their minds over a Trump social media post, this one about birthright citizenship and the 14th Amendment. As usual, President Trump is 100% right, and the woke DEI progressives are 100% wrong. How do we know? Because the men who wrote and ratified the 14th Amendment tell us so. Let's talk about it. I am, of course, attorney Andrew Branca for Law of Self-Defense, and if you like our content, then I'd like to ask you to hit those like and subscribe buttons and ring that bell. It really helps us out, and it's free. So President Trump triggered another cascade of hysteria among the progressive woke by posting the following, quote, "The 14th Amendment right of American citizenship never had anything to do with modern-day gate crashers, illegal immigrants who break the law by being in our country. It had everything to do with giving citizenship to former slaves. Our founding fathers are spinning in their graves at the idea that our country can be taken away from us. No nation in the world has anything like this. Our lawyers and judges have to be tough. Protect America." Close quote. This follows Trump's January 20th executive order clarifying that birthright citizenship does not apply to the children of illegal aliens or temporary residents. As utterly predictable, the left's response is to repeat their usual low IQ take on the 14th Amendment, as illustrated in this post. Courts will invalidate Trump's birthright citizenship executive order. Birthright citizenship is in plain text in the Constitution, and the history of this provision clearly supports it. See also U.S. v. Wong Kim Ark. This executive order is pure theater. So, that post made three arguments, common arguments, against Trump's executive order on so-called birthright citizenship. First, it argues that birthright citizenship is in the plain text of the 14th Amendment. Second, that the history of the 14th Amendment proves their case. And third, that the Supreme Court decision of Wong Kim Ark allows citizenship to attach to children born on American soil to temporary residents or illegal migrants. Let's start with the first argument about the plain text of the Constitution by taking a look at the 14th Amendment Citizenship Clause, which reads, quote, "All persons born or naturalized in the United States and subject to the jurisdiction thereof are citizens of the United States," close quote. Well, that seems pretty clear support for the notion of generalized birthright citizenship attaching to anyone born on American soil, regardless of the citizenship of their parents, right? After all, words have meaning. And indeed, words do have meaning, but they have the meaning intended by the men who wrote them and then ratified them as the 14th Amendment. And this brings us to the second argument of that post, that the history will support their case. And we actually have the history of the debate and discussion of the 14th Amendment by the U.S. senators who wrote and ratified it, as captured in the congressional record at the time. And these senators explicitly and consistently tell us two important things about the 14th Amendment Citizenship Clause in statements made repeatedly and without being contested by any other senator. There were complete and utter consensus on these 2 points. First, that the sole purpose of the 14th Amendment Citizenship Clause was to give citizenship to just freed slaves who would otherwise be stateless, period. And second, that the 14th Amendment Citizenship Clause was absolutely not intended to apply to anyone who was born to parents of foreign nationality. In other words, that the subject to the jurisdiction of the United States phrase deliberately and intentionally excludes children born to foreign nationals. On the matter of the freed slaves, Senator Salisbury stated at the time, and without objection, quote, "I do not presume that anyone will pretend to disguise the fact that the object, the purpose, of this 14th Amendment Citizenship Clause is simply to declare that freed slaves shall be citizens of the United States," close quote. On the point that the 14th Amendment Citizenship Clause was explicitly intended to not apply to children born on American soil to foreign nationals, another senator, Senator Howard, stated, quote, "The 14th Amendment Citizenship Clause will not, of course, include persons born in the United States who are foreigners, close quote. Senator Howard went even farther, though, when he said, quote, Indians, meaning native Indians, born within the limits of the United States and who maintain their tribal relations are not, in the sense of this 14th Amendment citizenship clause, born subject to the jurisdiction of the United States, close quote. That was why Native Americans were not considered citizens, even though born on U.S. soil, under the 14th Amendment of the Constitution. Instead, a statute was passed, the Indian Citizenship Act of 1924. It was that statute, not the 14th Amendment, that granted birthright citizenship to Native Americans. Another senator, Senator Trumbull, stated without objection or contradiction that, quote, the provision is that all persons born in the United States and subject to the jurisdiction thereof are citizens. That means subject to the complete jurisdiction thereof, close quote. And also, again, without objection or contradiction, quote, what do we mean by subject to the jurisdiction of the United States? Not owing allegiance to anybody else. That is what it means, close quote. Senator Trumbull later states, without objection or contradiction, quote, it cannot be said of any Native American Indian who owes allegiance, even partial allegiance, to some other government, that he is subject to the jurisdiction of the United States for purposes of the 14th Amendment Citizenship Clause, close quote. And also, again without objection or contradiction, quote, it is only those persons who come completely within our jurisdiction, who are subject to our laws, that we think of making citizens, close quote. This explicitly excludes children born on American soil to foreign nationals. Later, Senator Trumbull states, again without objection or contradiction, quote, I have already replied to the suggestion as to the Indians being subject to our jurisdiction. They are not subject to our jurisdiction in the sense of owing allegiance solely to the United States. They would not be embraced by this 14th Amendment Citizenship Clause, close quote. Yet another senator, Senator Johnson, stated without objection or contradiction that, quote, now all this 14th Amendment Citizenship Clause provides is that all persons born in the United States and not subject to some foreign power shall be considered as citizens of the United States, close quote. Yet another senator, Senator Howard, stated without objection or contradiction that, quote, I concur entirely with the honorable senator from Illinois in holding that the word jurisdiction, as here employed in the 14th Amendment Citizenship Clause, ought to be construed so as to imply a full and complete jurisdiction on the part of the United States. Certainly, gentlemen cannot contend that a person belonging to another sovereign, although born within the limits of a state, is subject to this full and complete jurisdiction. That question has long since been adjudicated so far as the usage of the government is concerned, close quote. Yet another senator, Senator Williams, stated without objection or contradiction that, quote, I understand the words here, subject to the jurisdiction of the United States in the 14th Amendment Citizenship Clause, to mean fully and completely subject to the jurisdiction of the United States, close quote. Indeed, every senator who spoke on the issue expressed their intent that the 14th Amendment citizenship, subject to the jurisdiction thereof, phrase, served to attach citizenship to persons born on American soil only to those whose parents were fully, completely, and exclusively subject to the jurisdiction of the United States and who retained zero foreign citizenship, as well, of course, to the just freed slaves. The historical record is perfect. Not one senator objected to, contradicted, or argued against that collectively understood proposition. Children born on American soil to foreign nationals did not and do not qualify for U.S. citizenship under the 14th Amendment. So when Trump wrote in his recent post that, quote, the 14th Amendment right of American citizenship never had anything to do with modern-day gatecrashers, illegal immigrants who break the law by being in our country. It had everything to do with giving citizenship to former slaves, close quote. Well, he is utterly and completely supported by the relevant historical record. Finally, we've arrived at the third argument raised in that post, the reference to the 1898 Supreme Court decision of U.S. v. Wong Kim Ark, which ruled that a child born on American soil to Chinese foreign nationals was an American citizen under the 14th Amendment Citizenship Clause. First, let's be really clear here. The U.S. Supreme Court has been known to be mistaken in its legal conclusions. In fact, the same panel of Supreme Court justices who gave us Wong Kim Ark only 2 years prior gave us Plessy v. Ferguson, the infamous case which made white-only water fountains, white-only seating on buses, separate schools for black and white students, all that legal. That horrific decision by the exact same court that gave us Wong Kim Ark was not reversed by the Supreme Court until 1954. But reversed it was because it was deemed bad law and unconstitutional. It also hardly needs saying that in any conflict between the U.S. Constitution and the Supreme Court, it is the U.S. Constitution that is correct, because the Constitution, not the Supreme Court, is the supreme law of our land. And we've already seen that the incontestable reading of the 14th Amendment Citizenship Clause is that it does not attach citizenship to children born on American soil to foreign nationals. Simple reason compels us to recognize that Wong Kim Ark is bad law, that it creates an unconstitutional and therefore invalid doctrine of so-called birthright citizenship, and is therefore legally invalid even absent reversal by a later Supreme Court. But even if one accepts the ruling of Wong Kim Ark, that ruling still doesn't apply to children born on American soil, to illegal aliens and temporary visitors. Wong Kim Ark was born on American soil to foreign nationals who were permanent residents of the United States, not temporary residents on a work or student visa or a tourist visa, and certainly not illegal migrants. The specific question answered in the affirmative by the Wong Kim Ark Court was this, quote, whether a child born in the United States of parents who at the time of his birth are subjects of the Emperor of China, but have a permanent domicile and residence in the United States, becomes at the time of his birth a citizen of the United States. This court is of the opinion that the question must be answered in the affirmative. Yes. Close quote. As I said earlier, I believe that analysis to be bad law because it conflicts directly with the incontestable meaning of the 14th Amendment Citizenship Clause, which explicitly does not attach citizenship to children born on American soil to foreign national parents. But even if one accepts Wong Kim Ark as good law, it at best attaches citizenship to the children born on American soil to foreign national parents who are permanent residents of the United States, and not to the children born to temporary residents, visitors, or especially illegal migrants. Perhaps just as important to this conversation, President Trump isn't even trying to argue the Wong Kim Ark case. His executive order still allows for permanent residents to birth citizens. So that particular argument, Wong Kim Ark, doesn't have any relevance to his executive order at all. So it appears the ground Trump is on is utterly, incontestably correct given the historical record because, well, the record never contests it. And that, folks, is the law you need to know and that President Trump is 100% correct about on the 14th Amendment Citizenship Clause. Cry your oceans of tears, progressives. It won't matter one bit. All the non-citizens in the U.S. without permission must go home, including the ones who happen to have been birthed while on American soil. Again, if you enjoy our content, I only ask that you hit that like and subscribe button, ring the bell for notifications. It's all free, and it really helps us out. Until next time, I remain attorney Andrew Branca at lawofselfdefense.com. Stay safe. Hey folks, I want to take just a moment to invite you all to our upcoming live and 100% free Law of Self-Defense Hard to Convict webinar. This free webinar teaches you how to be hard to convict if you're ever compelled to use force in defense of yourself, your family, or your property. The webinar is live streamed by me personally, and there's plenty of opportunity for Q&A. Best of all, it's 100% free, but we do limit seats to allow for adequate Q&A. So I urge you to grab your seat right now by signing up at lawofselfdefense.com/hard to convict.
So yeah, so if you know if you have if you're a citizen and your spouse is a citizen, that's fine. You can give birth to the U.S. Your child should be a citizen. But someone that just cross over to the border, south or north of the border U.S. illegally, they don't even speak the language, let alone know our laws, let alone know anything about the U.S. They only know about the U.S. what they heard of. Okay, and they come and they give birth, boom, their children are citizen. And then on top of it, the very people that this constitution amendment was written for, they come in and they look down upon these people, criticize them, talk down to them, look down upon them. Okay, when these people come from different places like the Caribbean or Africa, wherever, and even some of these people, parents would tell it, don't you talk to these Black American, don't you associate yourself with them, don't you do this, don't you do that, I don't want you to be friends with them, I don't want you to date them. Okay, and this is things that I know for a fact. This is not he says, she says. Okay, and these very same people that wants to be citizen, that have stolen these things from these Black American that this 14th Amendment was written for. These very same people, when they come to the U.S., they don't want to associate themselves as being Black because they don't want people to mistake them for being Black American. They are anything but Black. They are Trinidadian, they are Guyanese, they are this, they are that. Even though they are from Africa, they are Black, but they don't want to associate themselves. So they think that by saying that they are, whatever, Jamaican, they're not Black. Maybe the white man will look at them not Black. You see? So now people are starting to realize, and they're trying to see, and they're starting to understand that it's because of Black American that they are allowed to come in, they're allowed to give birth, they're allowed to have a visa to come into the U.S. Because before those Black Americans fought for their rights, fought for civil rights, many of them died. You know how many centuries the Black American has been dying in the USA trying to fight for rights, and it's because of them, these people, these Black people from all over the world, are allowed to come into the U.S. Because before that, visa was not granted to people of color, period. So read your history, read the history of the US. Okay, stop listening to he say, she say. Do go online, go to the library, do your research, read, find out for yourself, so you can understand the history of the US and know that it's because of Black Americans that many nations are allowed to come into the US, live, change your lives, come in for better life. Your children have come to better schools. Your children have citizenship, residency because of the Black Americans. So this is all I have to say about that. Remember that the link to if you want to donate, support my channel, the link will be below. Okay, the credit will go to the lawyer that you see speaking about birthright physician in the video. I'm gonna put the link of his video of his channel below. Okay, and don't forget to like the video, subscribe, and share the video. Thank you so much, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.